Good evening, welcome back to In the Khud. This is 17 June 2023, 6:54 p.m. and I'm going to try and wrap this session up very fast. There's literally only two things that I have to document. The first thing being that today, not for the very first time, I got this sort of feeling again that I have to figure sculpting out. So I decided I'm going to do a daily sculpting practice. And I did do quite some things today in sculpting, which is what I'm going to show today. And then we'll get to the stable diffusion part and what I can understand about it. So of course I got my pen tablet out. Can you see it? The stylus and pen tablet, and I configured it to work with Blender. So it's working very well without enumerating numpad. You know, when you press alt and do that stuff, that's not the case. So let me show the daily sculpt thing here. There are 4 collections. Okay. First one is very bad. This is the first sculpt. All of this I did following 2 of Addy Dean's tutorials. This one was supposed to be a female head, and I don't know what I've done. This was like the very first time moving things around with the sculpt tool and everything, so we can just easily ignore this. The second one was good. I mean, the overall thing was good except for the lips. They're very weird, and the ears are a bit weird. So that was the second try. The third try was her tutorial of head planes, where she uses a cube as a reference and divides this and sculpting a male head, and using cylinders and everything for the neck and the ears. And this was good, I feel. I mean, the lips obviously need work, and but I've understood how to use most of the brushes in the sculpt workspace now. I'm not sure. I think it's like just keep practicing every single day, and once you get familiar with what to move, where to move, how much to move, with what brush size to move, eventually you'll come to a point where you can just make stylized characters by yourself. That's what that was. And then I thought of just taking a reference from Pinterest and making a full character, just a block out. And this is what I did. So base mesh, I made all of these are all like modifiers and everything. These are just subdivided cubes with crease all over, and then I tried merging it and doing some sort of thing, but then the hands are doing something very weird, so you have to be careful when you merge objects together. So I mean, I thought I could probably do something about it and like do something here. And to be honest, it's not that bad, but yeah, there's a long way to go, definitely. Other than that, there is a plugin called Retopo Flow, okay, which is very expensive on CG Cookie, but CG Cookie's GitHub only gives it for free, which is a very weird sort of equation. So this is great if you want to retopologize things inside Blender. It just starts an entire interface of sorts, and then there are very helpful sort of things you can do, like strokes. You can hold down control and just draw over like this, and will create your retopo stuff. So if with that selected you do this, you automatically get this. So this is a very, very efficient way to like retopologize your model if you know what you're doing, which I clearly don't know what I'm doing here. But instead of just using Blender's default retopologize stuff, okay, here again the Blender normal things don't work. For example, the tilde key for front view and all that doesn't work. I think this would still work 1-3 numpad, but yeah, it's extremely intuitive and nice to follow. Like it just sticks where it has to and stuff like those. I keep doing this again and again. Yeah, this was the second thing that I discovered. And of course after that, let me just I have to exit this. It's a very good thing that made. If you want to download it, just go to github.com/retopoflow3. It's a free thing. You can just download the zip file. And the next thing I did is I made an entire, for a Hana's rig, I made a complete face rig using Faceit add-on. And to the point there, I've even gone and followed the entire CG Live tutorial on Faceit. And now I have all these controllers which I can come into the pose mode. Okay, no, these will work in object mode because they're pose mode only. So this is the jaw movement. This is basically what your HumanGen add-on gives, but you can do it like more with a lot more control. Okay, that is that. I think this is the eye blink. So eye blink, and once you take this down, you do have control for, I think this is the roll, the lip roll, the teeth and everything. Where that control go? I think you have to make it by yourself. Mouth pucker, all these things here. Tongue out, yeah, you can even take the tongue out. I actually want to know how this add-on is making these controllers. That would be a nice thing to follow along. And of course, the eye widget is working the way it should. Amazing. And that is pretty much all. Now coming to the stable diffusion situation. If you see my windows here, the number of command prompts that are open and the number of times I've tried to uninstall Python is getting way too much. This is what, from my research, I have understood. There are two things that are getting messed up. First is the fact that I have been experimenting with downloading and having Python and doing things like Anaconda and everything in the past. So there are traces of Python all over my system for some reason. That is one problem. The second problem, the particularity here is that the problem that I am running into with web UI, even following that exact thing. If you see this here, no, that is gone, I think. Okay, forget it. The particular problem is that stable diffusion only works with Python 3.10.6. That is a very specific thing, and it is something to do with PyTorch and stuff like those. The second important thing is the fact that if I go into my environment variables, over here there has to be a path which takes you to the place where pip is installed on Python, and that folder is empty for some reason. Now instead of trying to mess around with things, what I feel I have to do, and that is the right time to do now, is do a complete factory reset of the system, because there's anyway too much of trash on the system. I want to just remove all of the softwares as well, because there's way too many unnecessary softwares that I've downloaded, and just do a complete fresh restart and reset. And this time I don't want to get the NPAV protector again, even though I've taken a year subscription, because more often than not it just makes my life a pain. It's just not worth it. So I'll be without a net protector, antivirus, whatever, then fine with that. But yeah, before that I want to make sure that I take all the backup that I need for my files and everything. You can do an option where you do a factory reset but keep all of your files. You can do that, but what I would prefer doing is like a complete factory reset. Anyway, I'm also getting a call, so that's it for today's documentation. Thank you so much for being in the khud. I will catch you tomorrow. Peace.